You are listening to War of the Stars, a Star Wars podcast presented by Realm of the Mist Entertainment with your host, John Tolly.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to War of the Stars, a Star Wars podcast. We are coming to you tonight from deep within the Outer Rim, far beyond the watchful eyes of the Galactic Empire. Joining me today, as always, is Mr. Christopher Stolle.
But I want to go to Tashi Station to pick up some power converters.
That was a pretty good impression.
Very good, very good. And also the voice you just heard is one of the newest members of Realm of the Mist. You can catch him every week on Press A Gaming.
Every other week. It's bi-weekly.
Every other week. Oh, my apologies. Keith, welcome. Keith, how are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good.
Good.
Yes, like him, Press A Gaming is bi.
Well, I'm actually pan, but that's a whole other podcast.
Whoa! Welcome to It Had to Be Said, and John is now Venus.
Well, it is the 21st century, and you know.
Exactly. Make the transformation. Poof, there he was.
For a hot Canadian girl, you got a pretty bitchin' beard.
Thank you. Hey,
there you go.
Well, let's try to start off with a little bit of news today. It was recently announced and confirmed that the new series, the next movies, will be the Benioff and Weiss movies. So, what are you guys' thoughts? And the second question would be is, if these three movies are going to be the Benioff and Weiss movies, then what is happening with the Rian Johnson trilogy, do you guys think?
Rian Johnson trilogy is still on hold for everybody to die down on their bitching about Episode 8. But it's still happening. Benioff and Weiss trilogy makes the most sense. They just got done with Game of Thrones. And to really win back the Star Wars fans, if rumors are to believe, and it's pretty much all but announced, Benioff and Weiss's trilogy is the Old Republic.
Yeah, we're definitely going to the Old Republic for the next trilogy. It kind of fits with they've established a pattern at this point with the original trilogy was, of course, the New Hope saga, which was Luke's hero's journey. And then years later, we got the prequel trilogies to tell Vader's story. And so now that we've jumped forward again after the prequel trilogy to the continuation, we've yet again followed a character on a hero's journey with, I would say, a hell of a lot more references to the Jedi's legacy in the newer movies, like Luke having all of the sacred Jedi texts and referencing 1,000 generations of Jedi before you. They're definitely building up references to that Old Republic. So it would make sense, following the pattern of before, of after the end of the Skywalker saga, jumping back to the Old Republic to try and lay the seeds of how we got there in the first place.
I want to jump on that a second. I know we're going to be talking about the original trilogy mostly this time around, but with the sequel trilogy, I think that's one thing they've been doing right as far as the Jedi Order is concerned. A lot of people had issues from the original trilogy to the prequels, where the prequels treated the Jedis more as intergalactic police officers, and the Force being kind of a blood disease. And I think, the midichlorian thing. But I think the sequel trilogy has really done a lot in putting it back into the sacred religion that Jedi was supposed to be.
Yeah.
And I think if if Zepp is correct with the pattern, I think the Old Republic will reflect that even more, where the Jedi were more monk and less, like I said, keepers of the peace.
Well, for the prequel trilogy, it was the end of the Jedi, pretty much the end of the Jedi's existence for the most part, until we got to Luke in the original trilogy. So, with Order 66 being what it was, that possible knowledge that they could have developed of, hey, these things are either indicators of being Force sensitive, or they help us interface with the Force, for the lack of a better term, since my brain couldn't think of it. They might have learned that relatively recently in the Jedi Council and Jedi Order's existence, and that knowledge was probably lost after Order 66.
Yeah.
So, like, I understand the reason for the presence of it in the sequel trilogy. It was pretty much pointing out that this Jedi Order is a little bit more technologically advanced than we've seen before.
Yeah.
Because by the time the prequel trilogy rolled around, we had the extended universe. We had seen some of the Old Republic stories.
Oh no, and I absolutely agree with you, and I don't take away what George Lucas created in any way, shape, or form with the prequel trilogies. I mean, I could live without the midichlorians. I get his reasonings for using it. Was simply to really tell you how powerful Vader was. That's what it was. But trying to quantify the Force, I think, was a bad mistake in my personal opinion. But for the sake of argument, I understand that the Jedi, besides their hubris, the Jedi evolved to fit the world that they were in now in the Galactic Republic, in the fall of the Galactic Republic. And of course, like you said, in the extended universe and in the lore of the Old Republic, whether it's Knights of the Old Republic or otherwise, they weren't so much the same as we saw in the prequels, because again, they evolved over time.
Yeah.
Right. Like in the terms of like the canon, we're talking the difference of like thousands of hundreds of years. Like, Luke wasn't kidding when he said thousands of generations.
Yeah. Yeah. The other thing I wanted to, and I don't know if you guys have seen it, the fan did a redo of the duel between Obi-Wan and Vader on the Death Star. Have you guys seen that?
That was really well done.
I didn't like it.
I didn't either. I mean, I thought it was well done, but from a personal standpoint, I still like the original better, because in my mind, especially if you watch the duel between Obi-Wan and Anakin on Mustafar at the end of Episode 3, and then watch their duel on the Death Star, every move, every action, every word that is said has so much meaning behind it. And I think by adding a whole bunch of flare and flash, it takes away from that, just the meaning of that duel and what it meant for the saga, and just like I said, just everything that was said just had so much weight behind it. Even though it wasn't a flashy duel, it wasn't fast. It had a lot of meaning to it. And I think personally, putting all the flash and bells and whistles was just kind of like, you take away from that.
I agree with it about as much as Greedo shooting first. Like Zepp said, I thought it was really well done.
Yeah.
It definitely was masterwork. I'm not taking away from the artist at all. I'm taking away from the need for the scene to even exist. Mm-hmm. What we got in Episode 4, which back in 1977 we didn't understand we got yet, was an aging Jedi Master versus a almost fully robotic man who has a clunky suit who can't use a tenth of his ability.
Yeah.
And that was represented well in Episode 4, especially, as you said, when it's compared to the rest of Vader's story.
Yeah.
But adding the flash and flare to me is like changing storylines. Again, Han shot first in the original cut. When Lucas decided to go back and change it to make Han seem less of a scumbag, it ruined that scene. To me, that's exactly what this does. Even though it's not in the movie itself, that's exactly what this did for me. Is it ruined the meaning of that scene.
I don't know. I liked it, but I'm kind of a sucker for fight scenes. I think it's carryover from like in old kung fu movies.
Yeah.
I'm a sucker for a well choreographed fight scene.
Yeah.
So am I. If you would have done, for the sake of argument, Vader chasing down Quaylen Voss in that style, I wouldn't have had an issue. But because it was changing the scene that already exists between old Obi-Wan Kenobi and Vader, I don't think it was necessary.
Yeah. I mean, I get why, it was just like, oh, a what if, and I don't mind what ifs, but to me, just personally, I was like, yeah, I prefer the original version. That's just me.
Yeah, I'm not saying anybody who likes it is wrong. If you like it, like it. I'm just saying, for me, it just didn't do it for me. It felt unnecessary. Although kudos to the person who edited it together. It was really well done. Just not the scene I would want to see.
Yeah. Well, all right then. Let's go right into our main topic. We are going to be starting a short 3-week series on the last of the Jedi Knights, Luke Skywalker, today, starting with his kind of the first time we see him throughout the original trilogy. We're going to do this week, we're going to be doing Luke, the hero's journey. Next week, we'll be doing Luke, the myth, and then we're going to be stopping or ending with what I'm calling the not the fallen hero, but the broken hero, Luke in the new canon and in the new movies, and just maybe even doing a little compare and contrast to how he was portrayed in the old canon and the new canon. But right now we're going to start with the OG Luke, if you will. And I think it's interesting because the first time we meet Luke, and I'm not counting the prequels when he was a baby, because we don't really get to see anything of him in that, much of him in that. But in the original trilogy, he's at an interesting point in his life. And I think all of us have gone through. I mean, we're all at the old enough to have gone through that stage where he's not quite an adult, but he's not a kid anymore, and he's looking for that. He's at that age where he's wanting to kind of step out from under his parental guidance, in this case his aunt and uncle, and kind of go off on his own. But at the same time, he's at this weird stage in his life, and I think that's kind of indicative of what we see when he's like, oh, I want to go to Tashi Station. He's still wanting to be with his friends and hang out with his friends. But
he's a bit of an angsty teenager in the first part of the movie.
Yeah.
Angsty's a nice way of putting it.
Yeah,
he's whiny teenager.
Yes. But so was his dad. I mean, really.
But we didn't know that back in the day. Back when we first got introduced to Luke, Luke was a whiny teenager who was an everyman character who at the time he thought his father was a spice freighter captain.
Yeah.
Not a war hero, and certainly not Darth Vader. Yeah. And he lived a boring life on a farm on a desert planet, a farm that collects water.
And he's wanting to get away, and like I said, he's at that stage where he's wanting to kind of spread his wings and show his independence. And I think it's interesting also the difference between how his Uncle Owen responds to him and how Aunt Beru is. Uncle Owen seems to just want to keep him there. whether it's for his own selfish means because, hey, I have a lot of work to do and I need extra hands, or if he's just afraid to let him go out into the wider galaxy, or as Aunt Beru seems more consigned to, he's getting older, he's going to have to go and spread his wings and go out there and find himself. And that's, you can see that in the line when she tells him he has a lot of his father in him.
Which scared the hell out of Uncle Owen.
Oh, yeah.
But you also got to remember, too, on the desert planet of Tatooine, if you look at the original scripting and read the original novel, the Del Rey novel that was released as Episode 4 was released, there's obviously deleted scenes and all that in there, and interactions with Luke and other characters you didn't see in the movie. Luke had a nickname named Wormy. His best friend was Biggs Darklighter.
Yeah.
Who protected him because Luke was very much picked on. A lot of people didn't like Luke, especially for his proclivities to exaggerate.
Yeah.
Luke had a bad habit of wanting attention from the older kids around this Tashi station and all, that he would exaggerate things. That's why when he saw the battle happening above Tatooine, through his micro binoculars, and he tried to go tell everybody, nobody believed him.
Yeah.
Luke was, I don't want to say a troublemaker, but he was seeking acceptance from people back then.
Yeah. So another thing I really found interesting, and I think really interesting to get, in this case, to get Mark Hamill or even George Lucas's take on this, is his response, and we'll go back and we'll go into him meeting Obi-Wan and all that, but since we're talking about his relationship with Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru, was his response to their death.
Yeah.
It wasn't cavalier, but it was very much, wow, that sucked. Well, there's nothing for me here. He seemed to be more upset about the death of Obi-Wan, someone that he really had only known really, really known for just a little while. He had known about crazy old Ben, but compared to the people that had raised him from basically the time he was a baby.
I think part of that reaction was more due to Mark Hamill's inexperience as an actor at the time. Because he was an unknown when George Lucas cast him as Luke.
Yeah,
he did a couple commercials and a soap opera. Yeah,
there was a. I distinctly remember hearing news about there being a big thing back then with Star Wars of executives being sure that the movie wasn't going to go anywhere because they didn't get a big A-list actor as the main character.
Yeah.
No, you're not wrong. They were very worried about Carrie Fisher, Harrison Ford, and particularly Mark Hamill. As a matter of fact, though, Lucas purposely picked up Peter Cushing and Obi-Wan Kenobi Alec Guinness to play Obi-Wan and Tarkin respectively, to give the executives at least some named actor.
Yeah.
To attach to the movie. So,
Harrison Ford at the time was kind of famous.
He was famous for another George Lucas movie, though. He was at that point. He was only really known for American Graffiti, which again he wasn't a main actor of. He was a background character to Ron Howard.
Like I said, kind of famous.
Yeah, he'd done a couple of World War II movies.
He was a known actor at the time.
Yeah.
He wasn't like an A-list actor. He may have possibly made the B-list at that time, but Luke wasn't even, or Mark Hamill wasn't even C-list.
Yeah.
He was like, they basically picked him up off the street.
Yeah.
Right. Like I said, at the time, I think he had a couple commercials and a couple soap opera appearances to his credit.
And Carrie Fisher at least had the thing of she was Debbie Reynolds' daughter.
Right.
So you had that with Carrie. At least you had that it was like, oh, okay, this is Debbie Reynolds' daughter. But yeah, with Mark, it was complete unknown.
Oh yeah, you got a bunch of unknown actors on a children's movie, because Star Wars was never taken seriously by executives or anything until the day they saw it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Right.
But yeah, it was considered a kids movie, and they never took it seriously. And when the budget kept going up, and it's like, wait a minute, we're putting this much money into a kids flick with these actors. You know what I mean?
Well, even the actors themselves didn't even. I mean, Mark Hamill's gone on record of saying he was showing the script to all his friends and all his buddies, and just like, look at this crazy thing. What is this?
Oh yeah,
yeah.
And
then it was like, yeah. And then by the time Empire came around, it was like, oh, yeah, yeah. But
Lucasfilm was sitting there going, "It prints money,"
and the fans destroyed that. We'll get into that. Another thing. Going back to Luke, as far as like the Owen and Beru deaths, I think it was kind of the shock of it. I mean, I agree with you that it was the experience of Mark Hamill and all, but I think what really came across was when he first saw that Owen and Beru were torched skeletons hanging out the house. The reaction I saw from him was, "Oh shit! Now what am I going to do?"
Yeah.
You got to remember that day, Luke had a lot of shit dropped on him. Finding out his father was a Jedi and a war hero, killed by Darth Vader, but at least that's the way it was presented to him. Finding out that Obi-Wan was a Jedi.
Looking directly down the emitter of a lightsaber.
Directly down the emitter of a lightsaber, and then his aunt and uncle are killed, and his whole entire home gone.
Yeah. Well, I also
that's
thought about
a lot of shit for somebody to deal with.
And I also thought about this is, Tatooine wasn't exactly it was a rough area. And there's a lot of dangers, and he probably grew up realizing that there's a lot of stuff that can go wrong. There's a lot of stuff that could happen, and there's always the risk of a Tusken Raider raid or all these different things. And it might have just been like, well, this is life on Tatooine.
Getting on the wrong side of a bookie over at the pod races.
Yeah,
it's probably life on Tatooine, but there's one other factor we got to think in too. Again, going back to what I said about like all the shit he found out right before their deaths.
Yeah,
you got to think there might have been a little bit of animosity too, realizing that his aunt and uncle had been lying to him his whole entire life.
Yeah, that was that too, and I mean, it just always goes back to what was the relationship between them. I mean, how warm was it? Was it just? Did Uncle Owen see him as just another hand, no. or was it
Owen knew what Anakin did,
yeah,
and Owen knew what Anakin became. I don't think Owen looked at Luke as a extra hand, and that's it. I think Owen really loved Luke, but I think Owen was always scared of Luke following in Anakin's footsteps, and he wanted to keep him as far away from that as possible.
Well, again, you get that in that line where Aunt Beru makes the line. He has a lot of his father in him, and Uncle Owen's line is, "That's what I'm afraid of."
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. It's not that Owen didn't love Luke or didn't want Luke to be happy. Owen just wanted to keep Luke from ever discovering the truth and maybe going down the same road. He wanted Luke to be happy being a moisture farmer out in the middle of nowhere where he's safe and where he can never become anything close to what his father became.
Yeah.
Can we also appreciate the oh shit moment Obi-Wan must have had when they came across Aunt Beru and Uncle Owen dead? Like, Obi-Wan must have had that oh shit moment of, this is the kind of thing that sends people down the path of the dark side.
Yeah.
he must have been looking at Luke like, oh shit.
Oh, absolutely, because he had to live through Anakin and Anakin's mother. And Anakin was around about the same age as Luke was when his mother died.
Yeah.
So I could definitely see that maybe, Obi-Wan did kind of have that, well, this feels familiar, type moment. Yeah. But again, we're talking.
I'm not gonna fuck it this time. I'm not gonna fuck it up this time.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. Is we had an older, wiser Obi-Wan. It's like, okay, well, I know the warning signs now.
Yeah. Yeah. And he knew. I think he also knew. He was wiser, and he knew what to do to try and steer Luke towards a different path. He knew how to kind of like, okay, we're going to go this way. I made the mistake of doing this last time. This time I'm not going to make that mistake. Let's go this way.
Runs into a scenario that's the kind of scenario that sends people down the path of the dark side, immediately decides to take the young kid to the most wretched hive of scum and villainy.
Washington, D.C.?
Close enough.
Close enough.
Or if you're our other host Venus, that would be Ottawa, I'm sure.
Sure.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think Albany's up there.
Center City, Philadelphia. That's all I got to say. Anybody who's familiar with Philadelphia and its city politics, it's basically a mini empire.
Chicago. That's Chicago. That's all I got to say.
So anyway, Star Wars.
Oh, yeah, Star Wars. Yes. But okay, well, let's since we started talking about Obi-Wan, let's talk about Luke's relationship with Obi-Wan, and it becomes very strong very quickly.
Well,
and it doesn't take long before they become a very strong bond between those two.
Well, again, look at it from the standpoint of somebody who that day learned about how many people he cared about lying to him. This guy, this crazy old hermit, this crazy old wizard is the only one who was ever truthful to him.
Yeah.
And knew his father. So really, Obi-Wan was Luke latched onto Obi-Wan for the simple fact of, this is as close as I'm ever going to get to my dad.
Yeah.
And now know who my dad actually was.
Not to mention he gave him his dad's lightsaber,
Yeah. So
exactly.
I think that
immediately scored brownie points.
Right, and then automatically willing to train you in the ways of the Force. Wait, I could be like my dad? You just told me my dad was this great warrior, and I could be a great warrior too?
Mm-hmm.
And you give me this cool, flashy thing that I'm going to immediately put my eye to its emitter? This is why we put safety locks on cabinets, ladies and gentlemen.
The Star Wars saga could have ended very differently.
Oh, yes. Yes, it could have been like one of the... I've actually seen the meme where it's like, this is your father's lightsaber, and he's looking down. Next thing you see him, the lightsaber extending, going through his skull, written directed by George Lucas.
I like the better version. Somebody actually made a video of it and took the scene, and when Luke is inspecting the lightsaber and looks down the emitter, the screen just suddenly goes to black, and you hear the lightsaber activation noise.
Isn't it funny when we look at that scene where Luke's looking down the emitter, we're like, no, Luke, no. But when we go to Last Jedi and the Porgs are playing with the lightsaber before Rey picks it up, we were all disappointed that it didn't go off.
Oh, yeah. You're like, oh.
To be fair, I was also disappointed it didn't go off in the original trilogy because I am a huge proponent of weapon safety, and that was like a scene right out of a weapon safety video.
This is Luke. Luke just got his father's laser sword. What is he doing wrong here?
I was imagining the freaking OSHA voiceover.
Yes.
Do not look down the emitter of a lightsaber. Ever. Always use proper protective equipment. God. And the shitty 1980s music as it transitions to the next scene.
See, I'm got the 1950s like flipping film roll type credits like Lukey, that's not how we handle that. Yeah. Let's see what would have happened had he hit that emitter button.
They're really bad. Yeah, they're really bad.
Just imagining the Emperor's New Groove, Cusco with the marker, pausing the movie. Right. Don't do this. This is bad.
Well, now that Lucasfilm is owned by Disney, that could eventually happen. Somebody's listening to this podcast right now, and it's like, you know what? I've got that program. I'm going to make that happen.
Yes, I believe strongly every day that someone at Lucasfilm is listening to this show.
We've had that conversation before of pro wrestling and the independents. I firmly believe that the big league federations pay attention to the independents, not just for talent, but for story ideas, moves, stuff of that nature.
Yeah.
Take a drink, guys. So I would not be surprised if Lucasfilm doesn't have, Disney in general doesn't have people listening and scouring every freaking entertainment podcast they could find.
Yeah.
Just to see what people think or say.
Yeah.
If they're smart, that's exactly what they're doing.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, I was just imagining, Kathleen Kennedy sitting down at her office listening to us every Wednesday. Like, I got to listen to these guys.
She doesn't want to listen to us because I've not been one of her greatest proponent people. Like, yeah. I love the films. I can't stand her politics and what she tries to force in the films.
If you're smart, you're listening to the critics.
Yeah.
Because they're the ones who are telling you what your stuff really looks like.
Yeah.
But Star Wars is so hard because the fan base doesn't really look at it from a critical eye. Like, we try to. Like, even on things I don't like for the sake of argument, like L337. For a perfect example. I can't stand that character. Everything that character represents, I can't stand. But I don't just blast it because I don't like it. I try to give a critical eye of why does it exist in the Star Wars universe? What is it about it I don't like about it?
Which
Solo.
Solo?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They had a robot named L337 in Solo.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's so dumb.
Yeah.
Do you guys know what L337 is?
I always want to think square, but go ahead.
It's a gamer thing. It spells leet.
Huh.
It's gamer speak. Or as became popular on the internet in the late 2000s and early 2010s, referred to as leet speak. It's where you would take letters and transpose them with numbers that look sort of like said letters.
Oh, but yeah, she was the droid. She was in the movie Lando's co-pilot, and eventually her mainframe, her mind or whatever, was uploaded to the Falcon itself. So that was kind of a way of them saying whatever C-3PO makes the comment of, this, your computer has a very peculiar dialect. This is why. And there's also the idea that Lando and the LL37 had a relationship. It is also implied.
Healthy relationship, yeah.
Wait, is it LL37 or L337?
L337.
L337.
Okay. So that's leet.
Yeah.
That spells leet.
So, like, as that example, I try here on War of the Stars and with all of our podcasts, even if I don't like something, I try to at least be critical about it. like constructive criticism as opposed to just I hate it, it shouldn't exist. Yeah. Star Wars fandom, on the other hand, there are some toxic people in this fan base that even have podcasts or whatever that if they don't like something, they'll blast the hell out of it just because they don't like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's that kind of stuff in just about every community.
Yeah.
But it's very vocal in this community. And that's why I say, like, I would agree with you normally that, like, you want to hear the criticisms, you want to hear your fan base, but Lucasfilm really can't fully take what is being said in the Star Wars communities because 9 times out of 10, it's just people pissed off because their fan theories didn't work.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely a big problem nowadays.
Yeah, so
everybody's got a theory.
Yeah. So it's so hard to get constructive criticism from that.
I'm looking at you, Ant-Man Thanos people.
Oh my God, the Ant-Man butthole theory.
Yes.
I watched a thing on Facebook where Graham Norton interviewed Paul Rudd and talked to him about that, and even Paul Rudd was like, why can't it be the nose or the ear or something? Why did it have to be...
Well, Kyle... why am I blanking on his last name? The Because Science guy.
Yeah.
Did an episode on it, and it turns out Ant-Man wouldn't even be capable of doing it in the first place.
I'll have to look up that episode.
Yeah, I'll have to too. So anyway, getting back to Luke. Early on, you just see this kind of. He seems like he doesn't really know where, like, everything's happening so fast, I think. And you can see that, like, up until the actual trench run, it just seems like everything, because that all happens within, like, episode 4 basically happens within maybe a couple of days, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it's a few days. Well, depending on how long travel takes, but with hyperspace.
Yeah. So let's say
takes pretty.
It was less than a week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
they definitely showed that while they were traveling, they had downtime because Obi-Wan was training Luke on the Falcon, and I believe that's when we got the famous "Let the Wookiee win" line.
Yeah.
Yes, let the Wookiee win, and the of course the training of him wearing the blast helmet, and it was just really. I don't know. I mean, he definitely was the main character of episode 4, but would you say Luke was a likable character in episode 4?
Yes and no. He was a likable character because, like I said, he was designed to be an everyman. Go ahead, sorry.
When I was a teenager, he was a likable character. Now that I'm a little older, he definitely had a lot of growing to do.
Yeah.
But you also got to take the archetypes that he was based off of. He was based off of things like King Arthur and Beowulf and the like, where he's the everyman hero who was dragged into scenarios that he wasn't prepared for, and he had to step up and become the hero.
Yeah.
So from that aspect, in episode 4, Luke was us.
Yeah.
In every way, shape, or form, and how we would react, pretty much how we would react in those scenarios.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people may not have liked that because it is kind of a look at yourself and could I step up like that?
Yeah.
Would I be able to handle these things like he did?
Mm-hmm.
So some people may not like looking at that character in that aspect, but that's what he was designed to be.
Yeah. So let's move forward then and look at how Luke matured and the changes that Luke went through in Empire. And
I'd say reversion.
Yeah.
I mean, there was the whole abandoning his training thing.
Yeah.
I wasn't even going there yet. His impatience, his refusal to listen to elders, his
Gee, that
rushing
sounds really familiar.
Rushing in without a plan or a thought, like he did on Cloud City and his battle with Vader. He let himself be completely controlled by his emotions at that point.
Well,
so
also
that was probably the point in the original trilogies where Luke was the most Anakin he could possibly be.
Right.
Yeah. And do you think that even though you really don't see it a lot, do you think by that point he was starting to? Because at that point he was the hero of the Battle of Yavin. He had he had gotten this commission, and do you think he was starting to kind of believe the hype?
Yeah.
Like, hey, I'm a hero. I'm Luke Skywalker, all this stuff, and it took Vader to kind of put him in his place.
So I think it's important to note that have you guys ever heard of the machete cut?
Go ahead.
Yeah, I've heard of it. Yeah.
So it's a way of watching the prequel trilogy and the original trilogy in such a way that you don't watch them in order. You start with A New Hope, and then after you finish A New Hope, in between watching A New Hope and Empire Strikes Back, you watch Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones, so it doesn't spoil the whole Luke, I am your father moment at the end of Empire.
And then you watch Empire and then Episode 3.
Then you watch Empire and Episode 3 and finish up with Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
And my comment about Luke being his most Anakin in Empire, when you watch it via the machete cut of watching Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones and then watch Empire, you can really see that Luke is impulsive like his father was. He goes off half-cocked without a plan. And he lets his emotions rule his decision-making.
Yeah.
Now, to be fair, I mean, we do have to think about it this way. At this point in time, up until he goes to Dagobah, or at least up until he's captured by the Wampa on Hoth and then escapes the Wampa, to that point, Luke thought his days of being a Jedi were done. Like, he had a lightsaber, he had a couple, little tricks up his sleeve, but his training days were done because the last Jedi is dead in Obi-Wan. It wasn't until the Force Ghost showed up and said, go to Dagobah and learn from Yoda, that Luke realized I could keep going down this route. But at that point, I forget how much time had passed between A New Hope and Empire Strikes Back. But during that time, he's
it's implied to be a few months.
Right, but during that time, he's accepted his new role as I'm a pilot. So he's got that brash pilot's mentality as well. I'm no longer a Jedi following my dad's path. I'm a pilot and a hero.
Well, honestly, that just made him follow Anakin's footsteps even more, because Anakin was an ace pilot as well. Before he...
I heard that laugh. You thought the exact same thing I did when you said that. Anakin was an ace pilot, too. I'll try spinning. That's a good trick.
Decisions made as a child notwithstanding.
Hey, spinning is a good trick. Even Palpatine used it.
That's true.
Spin to win.
Yes.
What's that? It's blowing up from the inside. We didn't hit it. Now this is pod racing.
Pod racing.
There's a freaking 8-year-old with a weapon of war in his hands. Like the whole scene of Anakin in Phantom Menace with the Naboo starfighter is basically the equivalent of giving a toddler the keys to an F-15.
Oh my God!
Not that F-15s have keys, but you understand.
Now, see, I would have been saying like something like giving Kevin McAllister from Home Alone a gun, but wow. Why an F-15? Why not an F-117 stealth fighter or a B-2 bomber? With
let's not
payload,
go crazy now.
With a nuclear payload.
Well,
let's not go crazy now.
The child, the toddler, is a lot less likely to actually manage to get a B-2 off the ground than an F-15.
Not having any idea how any of them get off the ground or how easy or hard it is to do so, I'll take your word for it. I know how to make boats sink on purpose. I don't know how to make them. I don't know how to make ships fly.
It'd still be about the same chances as the rat-freeing Ant-Man, but I mean, we're talking movie logic here.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I think you guys just hit it right on the nose with Luke during this time, especially with Yusef. He was very much his father during this time period.
He was definitely Anakin before the fall, and I think that was intentional because George Lucas had episodes 1 through 6 written before the original trilogy was filmed and made. He decided to go with the episodes 4, 5, and 6 for the original trilogy instead of going with the earlier episodes because it was easier for the audience to get involved.
Yeah.
Because of Luke's character, like Chris said in A New Hope, he was a mirror. He was a mirror for the audience.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until Empire Strikes Back that they started drawing those parallels to his father. But we wouldn't see that until the prequels.
Yeah.
I don't think he had 1, 2, and 3 written out, because I know the original trilogy was one movie that he separated into 3 parts. But he did know where everything came from. I think they were outlined. I don't think he actually wrote them yet, but he had outlines and beats that he was following. Yeah. That's the only correction to your statement. But otherwise, you're absolutely correct. He knew from gate how he wanted the story to go.
Right. You can definitely tell that from the get-go, he wanted those parallels between Luke and Anakin to be drawn. Because that's exactly what he did in the prequel trilogy.
Yeah.
Is he made that parallel exist.
So, let's go into the beginning of Luke's training and him meeting Yoda. And which is still one of my favorite scenes in Empire is that first interaction with him and Yoda, and you still, again, you get that impatientness. You get that, this is so stupid. Why do I have to be here? This is pointless. I shouldn't have come. I should have done this. And yeah, I mean, what did you guys think of that whole scene? And
it was definitely necessary for Luke's growth as a character.
Yeah.
Because he needed to complain the whole way with training with Yoda, because Yoda needed to whip him into shape.
Yeah.
And Yoda's training of Luke definitely affected Luke. You can see it a little bit in Return of the Jedi when he's in full swing of the Jedi training and has taken the teachings to heart. As you can see, he's much more in control of his emotions than the first 2 films. And almost to the point that he seems vaguely robotic in Return of the Jedi. And in the new films, you can definitely see who trained him in his scenes of training Rey.
Oh yeah, and we'll get into that in a later episode. But
you feel that? That's the Force. Oh, it must be so strong. Smack.
Yeah, that was
you
definitely
cannot convince me that wasn't the most Yoda move he could have pulled.
See,
no.
I argue the point that even though it was very much a Yoda move, I almost look at it as a break of character because I think that's very much Mark Hamill.
Yeah. Yes.
The only thing that would have made that scene better is if Mark Hamill had imitated Yoda while he was doing that.
That would definitely have foreshadowed Yoda's Force Ghost appearing. That would have been awesome.
Feel that you do? The Force, that is.
The Force, yes.
Whack.
But no, I think when he first meets Yoda, we get the taste of as Zep called him earlier, the angsty teenager Luke Skywalker.
Yeah.
And of course, Yoda was merciless with it. That was the best Yoda ever. Yoda. With just teasing him and playing on words with him and getting into the tug of war with R2 over a light, Also,
can we talk about the fact that both Yoda and R2 were trolling the fuck out of Luke the entire time?
Oh yes.
Oh, R2 knew who Yoda was. From the moment Yoda showed up, he knew who he was. R2's a little dick.
Yoda knew who R2 was.
Yeah.
Well, not just that. Yoda knew who Leia was.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
He's just sitting back like, really? Okay. Sure, I'll let you two kiss. Go ahead.
Well, he didn't meet Yoda at that point yet.
Well, yeah. I'm saying that R2 knew who Leia was.
Oh, true, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So he's like sitting back like, sure, yeah. Like, wait, they're kissing? Well, this is an interesting take.
R2's a little prick, dude, because he knew so many things that could have saved so many problems in the galaxy.
Such a dirty mouth, too.
Yeah, they bleeped every word he said. But, I mean, just the way Yoda was, but yet he still passed on little nuggets of knowledge, like, when Luke's like, I'm looking for a great warrior. Oh, great warrior. Wars not make one great. Like, that was your first real clue that this character's Yoda. But Luke completely misses it. Yeah.
Yep.
Because of the fact that Luke's just, in his self-pity and selfish stage, which we all go through.
Well, Luke had this idea of what the Jedi were in his head at that point, and he didn't realize that, Obi-Wan wasn't really what I imagined a Jedi would be.
Right.
And he didn't, make the logical leap of, like, maybe they're not what I think they are. Because he's heard stories about the Jedi being great warriors and blah, 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 and all this jazz. And the most he ever saw of Obi-Wan in combat was up against Vader, where he disappeared into a robe.
Yeah.
Like,
now, do you think maybe like a little speciesist was in there too? That maybe Luke was expecting Yoda to be a humanoid, or not a humanoid, but a human?
Yeah, probably.
Not a little frog creature with ears.
I definitely think Luke wasn't expecting the little green Muppet.
No. But I think the little green Muppet is what he needed.
Uh-huh.
Oh, absolutely. Especially the X-Wing lesson.
Yeah. Size matters not.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And there's so much wisdom that you can take. I mean, we probably will do a whole episode on Yoda because there's so much wisdom you can take from his lessons that we can take of it doesn't matter how big or small you are, do or do not. There's so many nuggets of wisdom, but
well, good parenting came from Last Jedi.
Yeah,
every parent could take a lesson from Yoda from Last Jedi. We are what they grow to become.
Yeah. But I mean, you see that. I mean, even it ends. I think it's interesting that Empire ends really with Luke not really having learned his lesson. He doesn't learn. He doesn't learn the lessons of that Yoda was trying to teach him of don't be impatient. Go, and he goes off again, half cocked to face down Vader.
You talking about the training or the movie itself? Because the movie itself, I would argue.
The training.
The training. Okay.
The learning his lesson of Yoda's teachings was definitely after he lost his hand to Vader.
Yeah.
Like that was probably the wake up call.
Yeah.
That was rock bottom for Luke.
Yeah. Yeah, but that's how, I mean, and even Lucas has stated before that's how he set up, the trilogy was the first movie you're introduced to the characters. The second movie, they get in the worst possible position they could possibly be in. And then the third one is the redemption story, them, defeating the big bad Empire.
Right. That's just the hero's journey right there.
Yeah, yeah.
That's your standard formula for the hero's journey. You're introduced to your plucky young hero who has no idea how adventuring or heroing works. They run into their main conflict and get curb stomped by the bad guy. They grow as a character and gain more power, and eventually they take on the big bad and emerge triumphant.
Yeah. So, let's go into, now that we've kind of gone through, let's go into Luke and Jedi. And I think this is the first time that you really see that he's matured.
Oh, definitely. Like, from the very beginning of Return of the Jedi, you see that Luke has matured and that he has taken the Jedi teachings to heart, especially in the way that he deals with Jabba the Hutt.
Yes.
Maybe with Jabba, but not with the Gamorrean guards. That was very dark side, coming in and the first thing he does is force chokes 2 guards.
I think by that time, though, Luke was starting to take a very pragmatic view of the Force. Uh-huh. And I think, and I don't want to use the term gray, but I think he was starting to see the shades of gray in the Force.
It was very Qui-Gon Jinn of him.
Yes.
To walk up and
it was the means to an end.
Joke.
I get the reasoning. Just like I get the reasoning for the mind trick on Bib Fortuna, the attempted mind trick on Jabba, making threats which the Jedi would not do was, subversion and everything else. But the Force choke is the only thing that I sat there and I'm like, eh. But then I realized he never fully became a Jedi until he cast his lightsaber. I know I'm getting ahead of us, but until he cast his lightsaber aside and chose not to kill his father.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
At that point is when he actually became a Jedi. Before then, I guess you could call it his Jedi trial. Before then, he's kind of floating in the don't really know what he is yet.
Yeah. Yeah.
Definitely more control.
On a different note, what was your guys's, like, the first time you saw the green lightsaber?
I liked it. But then again, green is my favorite color, so
yeah.
The second he whipped out a green lightsaber instead of a blue one, I'm like, yes!
Yeah. I was very young the first time I saw it, so I don't really remember. Jedi, for those who don't know, I've mentioned this before, Jedi is my personal favorite of the movies because it was the first live-action, quote-unquote, adult grown-up movie I ever saw in theaters. Was Return of the Jedi. So it holds a very special place in my heart, personally. I was like, I would have been
6 years old.
6 years old. Yeah.
I think my favorite part of the reveal of his new lightsaber was that R2 just launches it
Yeah.
From inside of some storage compartment inside.
Yeah.
I liked it, but of course I never picked this up until the prequel trilogy. You realize that the hilt of the green lightsaber was very much based on Obi-Wan's hilt.
Yeah. Well, if you go into the canon books and the canon, he got that, like the crystal and everything like that, and learned how to make it from reading the all the stuff that all the books and the journals that Obi-Wan had kept on Tatooine.
No, that is correct, but I'm saying he could have fashioned his lightsaber like his father's. He could have fashioned his lightsaber in any means, but he purposely designed a hilt like Obi-Wan's.
Because I think that goes, Obi-Wan was the first one to start training him, and he's the one that really influenced him the most, I think, as far as going on, starting this journey and becoming, trying to become a Jedi.
I agree.
You're right.
Yeah.
It just goes. All I was trying to point out was it just goes to show how much he still held Obi-Wan in a very high regard and esteem. Even if Yoda is his master, at this point, he still has that affinity and affection for Obi-Wan.
Yeah. Now, here's the other question: is as we go into the training, Luke going back to Dagobah and finishing up his training, do you think when Luke said, ended his training and went to find to fight to confront Vader and said they're still good in him, do you think that the Force Ghost of Obi-Wan and Yoda thought this kid's dead?
It's a possibility.
Probably.
I think Obi-Wan definitely wanted to believe that there was still good in Anakin. That Anakin was still in there somewhere.
Yeah.
I think they were saying we may have screwed up. I really do. I think that's why they were, even at the end of Empire, when he's heading off, and it's like, they thought it was
our
over
last
then.
hope.
He was our last hope. And it's like, no, there's another, meaning Leia. Of course, we don't know that yet.
Yeah.
I think they definitely were saying, you know what, this one's too far gone.
Yeah.
I think they were having an Uncle Owen moment in the sense that he's heading down the path of his father.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, of course, him resisting the temptation after discovering the truth and everything, and pretty much finishing his training on his own while preparing to try to rescue Han and everything, proved that he wasn't like his father. But at that moment in time, I think Force Ghosts, Obi-Wan and Yoda were both like, well, back to the drawing board. Where's that girl?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
they were sitting there going, trust in the Force, trust in the Force, trust in the Force.
Yeah. And of course we have that, climactic battle on the second Death Star. And I mean, to me, I'll put this to you: which duel did you like best? Did you like the duel on Cloud City or the duel on the second Death Star?
I liked the duel on the second Death Star.
Yeah.
It depends on what I'm looking at. If I'm looking for technicality, I think Cloud City's battle was a lot better. But for the purpose of storytelling and emotion, Death Star 2 all day.
I'm sorry, the line of I am a Jedi like my father before me still sends chills down my spine. That is just, when he tosses that lightsaber and says, I'm a Jedi like my father before me, that's just one of the coolest lines in movie history, in my opinion.
See, the part that always sticks out to me in that whole lightsaber battle is when Vader's taunting him and senses about Leia, and it says, "Oh, sister, you got a sister. Well, fine.
Oh, yeah.
If you don't turn to the dark side, maybe she will." And then Luke ignites and screams, "No!" And the battle that, happens after that point, to the point of him throwing that lightsaber away. Just the raw emotion. Each movement was just, you could feel the turmoil within Luke.
Yeah,
that he was,
and then looking down.
Control. Yeah,
and then looking when he finally knocks Vader down and chops off his hand, he looks and sees his arm and the wires coming out of it and everything like that, and he realized, I'm just like my father.
Mm-hmm. But right before that point, when every strike, there's just wild abandon. He was in rage mode. If he was Wolverine, he was in berserker mode.
Yeah.
He was driven by fear and anger and rage. And it completely overwhelmed Vader.
Yeah.
The fight on the second Death Star is why I completely buy his character arc that they had for the newer movies. But we'll get to that later. Luke was definitely wild and impulsive again, just like Anakin was. Very, very close to the end of his arc for the prequels. Yeah. And the look of horror on Luke's face when he realizes that he is just like Anakin. He tosses the lightsaber away and delivers the line. You can see there's a look of horror, and then he composes himself and throws the lightsaber away. Yeah. It's like, you can see that there's the thought in his head of, I am a Jedi. This is not the way.
Yeah. Well, and the fact that he says, I am a Jedi like my father, saying, almost looking at Vader and says, you're still in there. You are still a Jedi. I am like you. We are Jedi. You're not this. You are a Jedi.
Well, even before, like, we talk about like Luke's reactions and everything, at that particular pivotal moment, Vader hasn't flipped back yet. But can we just take for a moment that even Vader probably had that proud daddy moment? Like, I just got my ass kicked by my kid. Yeah. Holy shit, is he strong?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
There was a proud daddy moment there.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
But at the he tapped into a territory that Luke would never be free from.
Well, we'll talk about this because I eventually also want to go back and relook at Anakin again. We've already looked at him a little bit in one of our earlier episodes. Go back if you haven't listened to it. Go back in the archives and find it. You can find it on our YouTube channel. But I want to eventually go back over that because I think there's a lot of stuff that we probably missed on Anakin. But you can see that he almost like he gave him every opportunity to walk. He gave him several opportunities to walk away when he tells him, especially whenever they see each other and they're on the Force Moon of Endor, and he's taking him up to the Death Star, and he says, I sense the conflict in you. And he says, there is no conflict. He's like, there's still good in you. I feel it. And Vader has the line, it's too late for me. Almost like he's saying, it's too late for me. It's not too late for you.
I would take that from there, except then the dark side takes over on Anakin, where he tells him, the Emperor is now your master. He's going to show you the true nature of the Force. Vader may have been wrestling with that small amount of light, that flame that hasn't gone out yet, but at the same difference at that point, he was still very much a slave to the dark side. And to him, it was more along the lines of, it's too late for me to go to the light, but you could come over here where we got cookies.
Yes, chocolate chips.
Yeah.
Also, we have to know that at this point, Vader understood that Palpatine followed the rule of two.
Yeah.
Meaning that somebody was going to have to die in order for Luke to
exactly
become an apprentice of the dark side.
Right, and in Vader's mind, the person that had to die was the Emperor.
Yeah.
Right.
But the only way Palpatine could die is if Vader was, or if Vader was able to convert Luke, so that way they could rule the galaxy, as he said in Empire, as father and son.
And son, yeah.
Right.
You know, Vader didn't want the Emperor to die unless Luke was converted.
But then that was always the point of the rule of two, was that the apprentice was supposed to kill their master and then become the master of the new apprentice.
Yeah.
And then the cycle was supposed to repeat itself eventually once the apprentice was strong enough to kill the master.
Yeah, it was this whole thing of, eventually that you get like this all-powerful Sith.
Right.
That was the whole idea.
Of each generation is successively stronger than the last.
Yeah. And each master went in knowing that eventually he would be overtaken, and the Sith accepted that. Mm-hmm. That eventually, I think up until Palpatine, because Palpatine and of course his master were both trying to live forever to kind of avoid that, so that there'd just be them and their apprentices.
We also got to remember too, and we're going to be delving into this with Benioff and Weiss, Palpatine's difference from the normal Sith traditions was Palpatine was trying to bring back the Sith Empire.
Yeah.
Most other Sith with the master and apprentice mentality was simply becoming that much more powerful on the dark side. Palpatine had leadership aspirations. Palpatine had control of the galaxy aspirations.
Yeah.
Palpatine was more ambitious than your typical Sith, except for the Old Republic Sith, where there was an actual empire before the Rule of Two, where they did control galaxies and systems and things of that. That's Palpatine. Palpatine didn't necessarily. He believed in the Rule of Two, but he didn't believe in it in the way that normal Sith believed in it, which is also the reason why he was able to get one over on Darth Maul and over on Darth Tyrannus, a.k.a. Count Dooku.
Mm-hmm.
Because he taught them the Rule of Two, but then he didn't follow it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So I think it would be kind of interesting. I would like to end this on, when we see Luke at the very end of Empire, or of Jedi, of, the whole celebration scene on Endor. Yub Nub. And then seeing, his father, fully restored to the Force. Well, let's go back and let's talk about the taking off of the mask. And what do you think that meant for Luke to see his father's face for the first time?
Well, think of it. I hate to cross over to the previous podcast that we had, but think of it like the first time you saw your mother, your biological mother.
Yeah.
Luke had never seen his dad.
Yeah.
And even in canon, that's known. Padme gave birth to Luke and Leia on an asteroid after Vader had already converted and was getting turned into the Man in the Iron Lung.
Yeah.
He had never seen his father until that moment.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that had to be.
In fact, Vader wasn't even told of Padme's fate until after he was more machine than man.
Yeah.
So for Luke, that had to be a world-changing revelation to actually look into the eyes of his father for the first time.
Yeah. And do you think that...
First and last time.
Yes. And do you think looking into those eyes and seeing that, okay, my father, he's gone back to the light side, he's at peace now, he's one with the Force, that we see that reflected in Luke's face at the very end. And I think it's very interesting to see this very calm, I would say happy, but like at peace Luke at the end of Jedi, and then juxtapose that to foreshadowing the Luke we get in a Last Jedi. And I think next time that's foreshadowing for our third episode, but next week we're going to look at the way the old EU legends treated Luke Skywalker and the myth of Luke Skywalker.
Well, let me foreshadow both episodes with one little statement that I'm sure you guys know, but just for our listeners that may not. In the original script, Luke was when Luke said goodbye to Vader and Vader died on the Death Star, Luke took the mask, put it on, and declared that he is now Darth Vader. It was originally intended for Luke to replace his father.
Really?
Something to think about, guys. He wasn't supposed to end the hero.
Hmm.
In the original draft of the script, yeah, he was not supposed to end the hero.
That
would be
an interesting way of playing it and subverting the hero's journey.
Yeah. Well, that could be an interesting one for if we ever do another What If series.
What if Luke Skywalker had become Darth Vader? That would have been terrifying.
Which is one of the reasons that I personally have defended the sequel trilogy, Luke Skywalker, because I remember the original. I've seen the script of the original story arc for Luke.
Yeah.
And some of the stories in the EUs that we'll be talking about next week.
Well, until then, Chris, why don't you tell people where they can find you at on the interwebs?
You can find me anywhere you see Realm of the Mists Entertainment, right here on the YouTube channel or wherever quality podcasts are heard on Anchor FM. Go ahead and give us a support. We'd love it. And also, in the description down below, check out our main website where you can find all of our platforms, as well as updates of all the great stuff that Realm of the Mist provides, including video game Let's Plays, podcasts, and even weekly blogs by some of us. As well as personal information on some of the podcasters. And also make sure you check out that merch page where we are starting to put out some merchandise, including Kristen Stovall's Song of Souls trilogy books with August 15th fastly approaching for book 3 and the finishing of her trilogy. You guys may want to pick up book 1 or 2, as well as the first of series of shirts that will be released by Realm of Mist Entertainment. We have the War of the Stars, a Star Wars podcast t-shirt.
Yes.
Which is available custom order. So you have to contact us, let us know your size, and we will take care of the rest. So guys, make sure you hit that description, that link in the description down below, and check out the website. Go to the merch page and get your Star Wars shirt.
Personally, I can't wait. I can't wait until we have enough running gags going where we can start making T-shirts out of those.
Yes.
Well, I already have one. It's the Stuff of That Nature shirt. Well, it's not made, but it's definitely a shirt that would have to be made because of how many times I've used that line in past podcasts. That it's become a drinking game. It really has.
Yeah.
Oh, is that what the Take a Drink guys was for?
Yeah. That's what it was for. Every time I catch myself saying Stuff of That Nature, you'll hear me say, "Take a drink."
Take a drink.
And Mr. Zephyr, where can people find you at?
Obviously, they can find me on the Press A Gaming podcast every other Friday on Realm of the Mist, and any podcast they happen to Shanghai me into at the time. Also, you can find me on Twitter at Zephyr0.
Oh, excuse me. You can find me on the Twitter machine at John Mark Tolly 1 because I am, of course, the #1 John Mark Tolly on Twitter. You can also find me on Facebook at Mark Tolly and on Instagram at John Mark Tolly 1. Anywhere fine podcasts are heard here on Realm of the Mist, whatever I get a chance to be on them. And of course, right here every week on War of the Stars, a Star Wars podcast. And as always, remember, this isn't just your Star Wars. This isn't just my Star Wars. This is our Star Wars. Until next time, May the Force be with you.
Always.
Why didn't the Three Little Pigs go in for some kind of flat share scheme?
Does Jesus get to choose which one he turns it into?
Why don't Sims have the upper body strength to climb out of a swimming pool?
And does everybody really want to be a cat?
I'm Will Baker.
And I'm Alex Prescott.
And if you're the type of person that overthinks these deep philosophical questions, then Think to the Brink is the podcast for you.
From Disney characters to song lyrics, debates to social etiquette, tune in every week for your dose of paralysis by analysis.
All topic suggestions are welcome. If you can think it, we can overthink it. Think to the Brink. Available on all podcast platforms.
Hey everyone, this is John Tolly, inviting you to check War Stars, a Star Wars podcast. Each week, me and my co-host Christopher Stolle discuss the news and interviews surrounding one of the movie franchises in the world. Every Wednesday at 8 Eastern, at a little far, far away, right here at FM, and wherever fine podcasts are heard.
You know, need seeding, vape, juice, or new mod, go to Vape Scorpion, 0859 Boston Avenue, Philadelphia, PA 191. They are formerly known as East Coast Vapor. They have all your needs, all the equipment, and hey, while you're there, sit down, enjoy a beer, bring your own, and just out with a bunch of cool people. If you need your next vape machine, or maybe you just want to try a loading juice, make sure you hit up Vape Scorpion. That's 1085 Boston Avenue, Philadelphia, PA 19116, or give a call to 215-464-8273. Oh yeah, and make sure you let them know that Realm of the Mist Entertainment sent you.
He said, but she said, how dare you say that? That's offensive. Well, someone's gotta say it. It had to be said with Venus. It's a live show Tuesdays at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Check out the recordings at any time. Guest host weekly. Listener, beware. Mature content, sexual content, trigger warning. Do you dare say it?
Hi, my name's Chris. I'm here to tell you about the podcast. Podcast with all the great entertainment from music, science, and many other forms of entertainment. As tics, currents, and just general having. If you're looking for a podcast for your alley, look further than Realm Mist Podcast. Here, and FM, or where podcasts can be heard.
Hi, this is Dave from the Comic Collection at 83 Bustleton Pike in Feasterville, Pennsylvania. Our phone number is 215-357-3332. We are right next to Northeast Philadelphia. We have action figures, gaming, statues, albums, and CDs, graphic novels, other knickknacks, and, of course, comics. Established in 1985, we are your go-to store. Come by and say hello. And say that the guys from Radiocast FM Radio sent you. The address again is 83 Bustleton Pike, Feasterville, Pennsylvania, or call 215-357-3332.
Three-eyed turtle? Is that alright?
What the fuck is a three-eyed turtle?
Who wants a mustache?
Are you tired of the same old podcasts with no humor? Well, join us for After Hours, where everything is funny, at least to us, on Anchor.fm, and where quality podcasts are.
How the fuck did we get on this?
I don't know.
FCC started this shit. It's their fault.
Hey everyone, this is Dak.
This is Liam.
And this is White People Shit.
We are a weekly podcast.
Whoa.
It means twice a week, you douche.
Oh. Yeah, listen to us for a week. On Wednesdays, we talk about gay stuff, zombies, superhero segments.
And on today's week,
Like a fucking furry.
just search and look for the white and red pajamas.
We're on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, YouTube, and anywhere you get your podcasts.
We believe in equal opportunity humor, where all things can be made fun of. So if your feelings get hurt and you're offended, you can always
eat a dick.